Hi, everyone, and welcome to week 3. We're already there. So, a quick overview of what will be contained in Module 3 is we will review your discussion open forum posts. I'll point out the readings for week 3. The topic for this week are inferences, little brief thing on habits of a critical thinker, and then we'll look at what is due for the coming week, the next week. So a little bit of a reflection on your week 2 discussions, the open forums. I think all of you selected such fantastic topics, some highly controversial, really made for great interaction back and forth. So I wanted to point out here things that I learned from all of you that I did not know about before. So there was the cancellation of the Shawn Mendes concert. I did not know that, probably because I was too engrossed in Adele canceling her concert. And he cited reasons, for his mental health and all of that. So very, very interesting. Health hazards with 3D printers. Who knew that there were any? I mean, 3D printers are supposed to be all the rave, yet there's a certain way that you have to, protect yourself when you are using these printers. Next was the Killdozer, and correct, I had never heard of this. It's a documentary about some guy who lived in a small town. He sold his property, but in the end, he didn't want to get off of the property, and he took his bulldozer and barricaded himself in it and went through town tearing things up. Sad ending. I won't let you know. You can look up you can read it on the discussion board post, or you can look it up. Multiple versions of the same album. I had no idea that record companies or artists themselves were doing this. For example, Taylor Swift. So thanks for letting me know about that. There was a post on a Coney Island exhibit where they would exhibit premature babies. I'm originally from New York, which is where Coney Island is. I know it for being an amusement park, and had no idea that the premature babies was a part of one of their shows. So thanks for that info. 2029 Olympics are going to be held in Saudi Arabia. The controversial topic there is, when you think of Saudi Arabia, you probably think of a warm climate, and they're having the Winter Olympics there. So now you've got sand, and you've got to make this fake snow and all of that stuff. So very interesting. There was a post about the fraud case of Anna Delvey, who was a Russian woman. She defrauded a whole bunch of people for money, and she used that money to create this very high profile presence of herself, where she just accumulated more and more and more wealth in a fraudulent manner. And Shakira's lyrics were brand new. I knew of a song that was out. I've seen the headlines, never clicked on it. Your discussions forced me to go in and look up the lyrics, and I love it. Just my opinion. So these were some things that were a little familiar to me, and you helped me with clarification on some of these items. Delivery drones being used to transport blood in remote areas. So I knew about delivery drones and Amazon starting that whole operation, but how brilliant to be able to use these drones, to help with medical needs in remote areas that doctors cannot get to. So I thought that was great. Elizabeth Holmes and Theranos, I followed that thoroughly throughout. She was an entrepreneur who defrauded all of her investors into creating some blood test machine that never actually existed. She was just recently sentenced to, I think it was 11 years. Online sports betting, huge here in the States. But I will tell you, in Washington State, you cannot do online betting. So I can be in another state and it's fine, but it's illegal in this state, which I find very interesting. Climate change and its impact on our oceans. Very, very important topic, highly controversial topic as well. Some say climate change doesn't even exist. Some have proof of all of the damage that it has done to our earth. So, you leave that up to your own perception. Um, creating personalized children. Someone is studying, I forget which country it was, but it's for supposedly for people that, cannot have children in the traditional manner. You think about same-sex couples, you think about, people that are infertile and they can't have children. But this technology will enable you to go in and actually select, whether you want your child to have a high or low IQ, brown eyes or blue eyes, so forth and so on. So that can be very, very controversial as well. Antitrust violations and greed in the entertainment industry occurs in many industries. Perhaps not antitrust, but greed. It's everywhere. The capture of Ovidio Guzman, heard about it, didn't realize that Biden was there right after his capture, so it made me think a little bit where this might be just a political scheme, but I do hope that it does help with, the citizens' safety in Mexico. And the NFL safety standards, recently we've had 2 players that just got injured, one very young, had a heart attack on the field, and, should the NFL be doing more to protect these players? And again, another controversial subject. Yes, we should always be doing things to improve things. And then on the flip side, some of these guys are getting paid $10 million a year. So I don't know, you be the judge. But thank you for all of your posts. Very informative. It was great. So required for week 3, the readings, the Thinking for Yourself textbook. You're going to read on chapter 4. And the topic will be inferences and what is an inference, right? So here you can see it's coming to a conclusion based on an observation, evidence, and reasoning, right? So if I walk outside and I see all these black clouds all around, I'm going to infer that it's going to rain because it looks that way. Or I'm a detective and I walk into a crime scene and I see blood and firearms, right? So I'm going to assume, I'm going to infer that there was a crime taking place. But be careful, as it says here on the slide, inferences can work against you, make you jump to conclusions. So I'll go back up to that detective. I walk in, I see blood and firearms, and I'm going to infer that there was a crime, but in most crimes, typically, the spouse is the first one, that you look for. And sometimes detectives spend so much time looking at the spouse when it's not, and cases go on and on and on. So you have to be very careful with inferences. Um, uh, some examples here. I'm driving on the road, and I'm not sure if I meant to take this out. Well, yeah, I meant to have it. Sorry. Driving on the road, and I see a car swerving in and out of lanes, right? So the fact is, right, I'm going to start making some inferences that there is a car on the road. I can see this vehicle, and I can see that they're swerving. They're driving erratically. I can infer that the driver is drunk, the driver's texting, the driver's having a seizure, or there's something wrong with the car, right? So you can see how this can go in so many different directions. So I posted up this photo. Do inferences help or hinder? So we'll look at, a lot of inferences are done through observations. And I selected this picture because when I first looked at it, quick glance, I said, okay, the woman standing, she must be the boss simply because she's standing. And then I looked at it a little bit more and I'm thinking, well, perhaps it could be a group project. So you can see how, you can make inferences without really looking and identifying something. So that was just an example. So due dates for week 3. You have a discussion board that's due, and this discussion board, there will be a topic, and I'll get into that a little bit later. There are 2 parts to that discussion board, so your initial responses are due on Wednesday, and your final posts to your peers are due on Sunday by 11:59 p.m. Remember, try to post to more than 2 peers to get exceeds on the quantity. Try to post to your peers throughout the week so that you can get an exceeds on the timeliness of it. You're also going to have your first assignment due. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So first, I'm going to talk about the discussion board. The first part is evaluating resources. So you're going to take an evaluating resources tutorial. So once you take that, you're going to upload your completed certificate, because you will receive a certificate at the end of the tutorial, and just discuss what you've learned about it, what stood out to you. Do you use any of these things? How has it changed your searching habits, so forth and so on. So it'll be your certificate plus your post, and then the responses to your peers. APA formatting, at least one resource. And on Sunday the 29th, you want to make sure that you've responded to at least 2 peers, 3 if you want to get exceeds in that category. And then on the same discussion board, there will be a part 2 on inferences, and it asks you to provide an example of when you used an inference. So describe the situation. What did you use to evaluate the situation? Were there any factual determinants that led you down one direction or not? And describe the conclusions that you came to. The reading this week will help you a lot with inferences. So again, this part of the discussion board is also due on Wednesday, and then your responses are due on Sunday, January 29th. So your assignment, I went through this a little bit in last week's video. This is the team inference discussion and essay. This is due on Sunday. So what you want to do is you want to begin working with your group members throughout the week and post some ideas, correspond back and forth with one another, right? The content that you post on the discussion board in the group discussion board will be a part of the grade. Then all of you are going to collaborate together, and you're going to write an essay that's 3 to 5 pages. You're going to use APA formatting. You're going to have a title page. I have included an APA PowerPoint inside the assignment, so you can use that to look for commonly used references. And basically what you want to do is, as a group, and there's 3 to 4 of you in a group, so select one of you and choose one or more inferences that were made about team members. So everybody make an inference about their team members and see where there are any similarities, and maybe that's what you want to focus on, and describe any positive or negative assumptions that were made. So also included in the assignment is a peer evaluation form. You need to fill that out, and you need to submit that along with your assignment. So every single person should be filling out a peer evaluation form. This assignment is worth 200 points, and if you can get 10 points deducted if you do not include your peer evaluation, so don't forget to do that. So I've gotten some emails on locating your team members, so I want to give you a quick tutorial on how to do that. So on your top navigation, you're going to go over to communications, and there's a little drop down arrow, and you're going to scroll down to groups, right? So once you select groups, it's going to say group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4, and the number of members that are in each group. It's not very intuitive, so you'll have to go through each of them until you locate your name. So let's say you're in group 4, you'll click on group 4, you'll select it, and you'll see your name, and then you will also see other members who are part of your team. To make things a little bit easier, I'm going to include the team members in an announcement on the home page in the course shell, so that you can most likely just ignore this step. So once you've located your team members, you're going to be collaborating with them throughout the week, and those are the peers that you're going to be working with for your team inference paper. So when you go to Module 3, you're going to have, these the instructor notes. So notice here, there's a week 3 discussion board. That's where you're going to post about your evaluations. This is where you're going to post your certificate of completion. And then down here are the group discussions. If you click on group discussions, you're going to get, this section over here that says Module 3, Team Discussion Board, Group 1. So when you're corresponding with your team members for the group project, you want to make sure that you're posting in the appropriate group. And when you want to submit the team inference paper, you're going to use the assignment link that you see here. And then we've got looking ahead. We're going to look at some assumptions. We're going to begin working on formulating your topic and your thesis statement for your final. And next week will be an open forum discussion, just as we did this past week. And just a quick side note for the teams, this is the only team assignment that is due within Brightspace. However, for the in-person discussions, the teams that you're assigned to, you'll be working with those team members for our in-person sessions where we'll be doing exercises and activities. So I hope all of you have a great week, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Have a great one.